just can't understand where my head is at. Oh, what my heart is saying. All throughout the struggle, sometimes I feel I can't shake the habit. I just can't wake up. But I know in the end I'll be the shield. 'Cause the road will go on with me or without. Make it now. Compromise. Fighting for a better life. It's a wrong road, but friends keep you on the good path. Take a wrong turn, and they'll be on your back, calling you out. As ice cold against on the road, we keep each other strong, going toe to toe, and we may not know if we'll come out this alive.
Yeah, I can. Oh yeah, the usual. I know how it works.
Need to clear my throat. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, BluRay here, and welcome to episode 3, part 3, the sequel to BluRay's podcast. Yeah, BluRay's podcast number 3, part 3. I don't know. It's the third podcast basically, and I got a special guest here.
Sedition the Scorns. Glad to be here. Get ready to talk about the VGAs.
Yeah, I just realized that we've been mentioning VGAs. Oh, it's because I'm like, because I typed it in Google. Like, I literally legit typed in VGA, and then I got like Google was like confused. Like, you mean like the golf? I'm like, what? And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's called the Game Awards. Oh, same thing. I mean, it's video games. That's what we were referring to when we say VGA, Video Game Awards. But apparently, it's called the Game Awards. But that's besides the point.
Well, there's a thing called the PGAs, but now we have a VGA.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Game Awards. Basically the nominees, like which game won whatever category, and announcements that were announced during that day. And I will say that when the Game Award happened, I was at work, so I couldn't really watch the whole thing. I basically saw like whatever games were announced on YouTube and stuff like that. So couldn't really say like, yeah, I was there for the entire show because I was busy or busy / stuck at work. So Anyways, should we just talk about like the nominees and winners, or should we talk about the stuff that are announced first and then vice versa?
We can go over the games announcements first, and then we can go through the categories, and then we can go on what games have caught our eye for 2022 and onward.
All right. So I'm gonna, because I have two tabs open on my computer, so it's more likely not gonna be in the exact order that it was announced or whatever. So I apologize for that. I'm just going by what it's posted on the article or on this website. But starting off, we're gonna the new Sonic game, Sonic Frontier, was announced along with the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 trailer. And then we got Alan Wake 2 announced. That's going to be coming in 2023. And then we got Wonder Woman. She's getting her own video game. And then we got an announcement to Star Wars Eclipse by Quantic Dream, which should be a little interesting. I guess some announcement for Elden Ring, Among Us VR, Dune Spice Wars review trailer shown off. And then we got some gameplay of the Suicide Squad game. The Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Then we got, I guess, a cinematic gameplay trailer for Hellblade 2. New trailer for Horizon Forbidden West. Gameplay review trailer for a Plague Tale Requiem. I probably butchered the name.
Requiem? Yeah.
Got the Halo TV series announced, our first look trailer. That's going to be on Paramount Plus. And I guess some of the smaller stuff that I guess you could say, I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can. Because some of them, as I'm looking through it now, because there's no videos for these, it's just like a list. So Lost Ark, an MMO from Amazon Games coming to Steam. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is coming to PC, but through the Epic Game Stores this month on the 16th. Destiny 2 expansion, whatever. Slitherhead, horror game from the creator of Silent Hill. Nightingale, Lord of the Rings Golem, that weird looking, I don't know what the hell, I think that's what it's called. Golem, the fucking creature that goes, my precious.
Golem?
There you go. He's getting trailer for his video game is on YouTube, or was announced, but anyways, and then PUBG announces that it's gonna be free to play on January 12th. Yay, I guess. I don't even know if anybody's even playing that shit. Yeah, trailer for Somerville. Okay. Cuphead's DLC finally coming out, which will be on June 30th. Warhammer Vermintide 2 DLC. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is coming to PC and current gen consoles. Tichia, new trailer for that game. Forspoken, I guess it's coming out in May 24th of 2022. I got a new trailer for the new Saints Row game, the reboot, whatever. Fall Guys, Nightmare Before Christmas, the Nightmare Before Christmas skins. Tiny Tina's Wonderland trailer. Dokev trailer. Genshin Impact stuff. Steel Rising. Metal Hellslinger. I guess Rocket League is gonna be on mobile or something like that. I don't know, because his mobile game Rocket League's site sweep is available right now. Star Trek, Resurgence, Rumbleverse, which apparently is like a new platform fighter that's similar to Smash Bros. Dying Light 2 got another trailer, Fortnite trailer for season 3 or whatever. And the rest I don't really care about. I mean, like as I'm reading through these lists, I'm just like, I have no fucking interest in some of these things. Only like one thing that I'm interested in, which is Cuphead, but the others I just don't care. Vampire, the Masquerade, the Battle Royale, I guess Vampire multiplayer game, whatever. Crossfire X trailer, the GTFO, whatever, 25% off, Sync Off Planet, Arc Raiders, and The Matrix Awakens. Or it's like a demo for the new Matrix game that they announced, which is available. The demo's out right now on PS5 and the Xbox Series X. And that's it, I hope. I really don't want to keep reading through these lists because I'm just like, I'm already getting bored through reading these shits. Oh, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is coming out on March 4th to the PS4, Switch, and PC or Steam. Oh shit, there is more. Fuck.
We also got Forspoken.
I mean,
Texas Chainsaw.
yeah.
Yeah. Forspoken looks awesome. We also get the Texas Chainsaw, which is the same creator for Friday the 13th video game, and also one of my most anticipated games for the next gen is Hellblade 2.
Yeah, and then we got Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak DLC, whatever, Chivalry 2, blah blah blah. Have a Nice Death. Indie game.
Dying Light 2.
Yeah, I already said that. Yeah, the rest I don't really care about. I mean, like it's kind of unfair to not mention these games because maybe there is some games that probably sounds and look interesting to you, but for me, I've already read through them. I'm like, these are not like grabbing my attention in any way as I'm reading through these lists. But yeah, that's basically it. At least from my end, I might get Persona 4 Arena. Well, I mean, I have it on PS3 because it was free at one point, but I never fully played it, so I might get that on PS4. I've seen the first trailer for Forspoken, but I haven't seen the new one or whatever. I don't know. Like it looks all right in a way, but I could be wrong. It could be like Marvel's or the Guardians, for instance, where like a lot of people were gonna pass on that game because of the experience with the Avengers and all that, but it turns out it was like a really good game. So maybe Forspoken could be like that for me. Because I don't know, it's not really grabbing my attention in any way. The gameplay did remind me of Infamous, though, so just had that Infamous vibe in a way here and there. I will say specifically for sure, I'm excited for the Cuphead DLC because it's about damn time. We got some announcement or word about the DLC because I feel like I haven't heard for any word about the DLC in a good while. So it's nice to hear that it's actually coming out. I actually thought the DLC was going to become the sequel to Cuphead or something like that, seeing as it's taking so long for this DLC to be made. But nope, it's a DLC and it's coming out on June 30th of 2022.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think the reason why they took forever on the DLC was also because they were going to be making a show based on the Netflix series for Cuphead.
Yeah, that's still a thing. Suicide Squad looks pretty good. Hopefully it's good because the last game that Rocksteady made, which was Batman, what the hell was it called? Oh,
Arkham Knight.
Gotham Knight. That was a big disappointment for me. I'm sorry for those who happen to like that game, but I didn't really like that game. It's just like, I mean, there's a bunch of memes relating to that game where, because on the back of the box it says "Be the Batman," and a lot of people made a meme out of it saying like "Be the Batman," more like "Be the Batmobile," because that's essentially what the entire game play is all about. It's just you're in the Batmobile, and to me, it's not that fun. Like, I want to be Batman and beat the shit out of people. I mean, you could technically do that, but the core gameplay, like the objectives in the game, is requires you to be in the Batmobile, and it's like, it's fun for the first time, but I don't want it to be like an ongoing thing. But yeah, I'm sorry, but Gotham Knight to me is just a big disappointment. So I really hope the Suicide Squad's gonna be a good game.
I think it will. I think it will be, considering Rocksteady has been a fairly decent company that actually knows what they're doing, and of course, when it comes to Rocksteady, they've created some amazing games. And Batman Arkham City, in my opinion, is still my favorite Arkham game in the series, and I think it's still the best one. But
Yeah,
I
straight
do
up.
agree. Yeah, straight up, I do agree that the last Arkham game was just basically a disappointment to the fans to kind of close the finale. But after seeing the trailer and the gameplay for it, it looks very promising. But hopefully, we'll be able to see more news for the game coming out next year.
I just realized I mispronounced the title. Is called Arkham Knight, not Gotham Knight. Well, wasn't there like a new Batman game with that same name, Gotham Knight or something like that? It's like a multiplayer Batman game where you play as Robin and all that shit.
Yeah, it was essentially like an online, kind of like Overwatch in a way, but except it's DC characters. But you can play as Robin and Joker, and I think
Oh,
Batman as well. But I could be wrong.
nah, you don't play as the Joker. It's just like the sidekicks. You're playing as the sidekicks of Batman, like
Yeah,
Robin, Batgirl, and all that stuff. Just mainly this.
yeah.
It's basically sidekick the game. Because Batman's nowhere seen in the game. It's just mainly focused on the sidekicks. But anyways, Sonic Frontier. I saw the trailer, which did look kind of interesting. I don't know. It just literally looked like Breath of the Wild in a way.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. A lot of people, a lot of people on Twitter will be like, "Is Sonic Frontiers going to be like Breath of the Wild for real?"
Yeah. Because I mean, it could work like an open world Sonic game. It sounds interesting, but hopefully it's got, at least good.
Yeah,
I mean, if anything that's good was the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 trailer. That one was really good. And I can't.
I'm super excited for that movie to come out. I thought the first film was excellent, and Jim Carrey did such a great job playing as Dr. Eggman.
Yep. And then we got Alan Wake 2, which is going to be coming out on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, which is nice to hear. Which makes sense as to why the first one was remastered and came to the PlayStation consoles.
Not gonna lie, when I first saw the trailer, I thought that was Jared Leto from 30 Seconds to Mars. I'm like, why does he look cool in next gen? And then I saw the character, I'm like, oh shit, it's the original guy from the first game. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then Star Wars Eclipse, Quantic Dream should be interesting because I mean, well, when I think of Quantic Dream, I think of games like Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and the last game they made, which was actually, well, was Quantic. I'm pretty sure Quantic Dream was involved with the other. I don't know. Well, the last game that I could think of from them that they made was Detroit Become Human. So seeing that they're making a Star Wars game is kind of interesting and a little weird because I'm just curious as to how the game's gonna be played like. Like, is it gonna be played exactly like the Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls games, or what? So I guess we'll wait and see later on. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, there's still some trailers I have yet to watch through, like the sequel to Plague Tale. I have yet to watch the newest trailer. Same thing with Hellblade 2 and Horizon Forbidden West. Those trailers I need to watch, or I haven't watched yet, but I need to watch them. But I'm pretty sure they'll be good. So even if I don't watch them at all, pretty sure they'll be good. But yeah, that's basically what I guess caught my interest in terms of the games that were announced. What about you, Sedition?
Definitely a Plague Tale Requiem. Funny enough, I knew a sequel was coming for that game, and after seeing the trailer for Plague Tale Requiem, I feel like it's going to be probably one of the most emotionally driven games of the next generation. And I actually haven't played a lot of Plague Tale Innocence, but what can I tell you about that game right now is I think it's probably one of the best IPs I played in a very long time. And I think the story is just so emotional and it's so dark and it's just the characters are just so lovable and enjoyable. And I think the trailer is gonna make up to its potential. And I think it's probably gonna be in the game of the year category. But if not, it might be like probably the best narrative. But definitely Plague Tale Requiem, Dying Light 2. I love the first Dying Light game. I only need one more trophy to get my platinum before the service gets shut down sometime soon because of the sequel coming out. But I loved the first Dying Light. It was one of my favorite games in 2015, and I feel like Dying Light 2 is going to be a lot more difficult, and there's also going to be more narrative decisions based on the player that you choose to do, which I love games when they have that sort of stability. So um, the Cuphead DLC, it's about damn time that they're finally coming to announce. I originally thought that when the Cuphead DLC trailer was first announced, when I saw the VGA and I saw the women performing the songs from the Cuphead, is this what I think it is? Could it be a Cuphead sequel? Could it be referring to like the Netflix show? And I'm like, no, it was the gameplay trailer for the DLC. And I thought it was really charming. It was really cute, and I love the cinematography on the trailer. And I'm like, okay, this gonna be some pretty good gameplay footage. And then I'll have to go back and play some Cuphead whenever I'm able to. Um, what else was on there? Slitherhead also looks really cool. The new IP from the creator of Silent Hill. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Evil Within in such a way, mainly because of the trailer that was presented in the game. I kind of got like an Evil Within, like Alone in the Dark, Fatal Frame kind of aesthetic within the trailer. So, me being a huge survival horror fan, I'm definitely invested into playing the game. I don't think it will be out in 2022. It might be a little bit later down the year, or maybe be in 2023, is so to speak. And then the other game I'm looking forward to, the last one, is Forspoken. And I think that game looks interesting. It kind of reminds me of like Infamous in a way, where you have all these like supernatural, like almost comical powers where you can shoot like laser beams and have like all these telekinesis and like sprint forward for agility, and you can like grab objects, you can throw them at enemies type of shit. I feel like it kind of reminds me of that in a way. So I think those games in general, I'm looking forward to the most out of all the announcements. And then the other ones, I'm just like, it's okay. Nothing really grabs my attention. Like the PUBG, I don't really give a crap about it. Nightingale looks pretty cool. Might try that out eventually. Um, the Gollum game for Lord of the Rings looks interesting. I haven't played a Lord of the Rings game since the PS2 days, which was Return of the King, which is kind of like a hack and slash action RPG. If you haven't played that game, definitely check it out. It's actually pretty fun. But other than that, other for the other games, I I just don't have any interest whatsoever. So I would say those games in particular, I'm looking forward to the most.
All right. So that basically does it for the announcement. So I guess we're gonna move on to the nominees and which one what. So big esports event 2021 League of Legends World Champion. Don't really care. So I'm just gonna go by through some, like, anything esports related. I'm just gonna go by and just say who won, because I really don't give a shit about them. But if you do somehow, I mean, well, there's Google. You could look it up, I guess. But well, yeah. So I apologize for those. If any of those who watches esports, I don't really care about that. But anyways, so yeah, best esports event, League of Legends. Best esports coach, Kim Jong. I butchered the name, but yeah, that guy won for best esports coach. I didn't know you could be a coach in video games, but okay. But best esports team, Natus Vincier, Counter Strike. Okay. Best esports athlete, Chris Ler, aka Simp. Okay. I thought the word simp was forbidden on Twitch, but okay. I guess they allowed it. Best esports game, League of Legends surprisingly won. Well, I mean, I would think at least Call of Duty would win, but but you know, I don't really play a lot of these multiplayer games like Call of Duty, Counter Strike, Dota, League of Legends, or Valorant. So yeah. So yeah, that does it for the esports games. Now we move on to the actual good stuff.
Real gamer zone.
Yeah, real quality stuff, except for one stuff which we'll get into in a couple seconds, I guess, or in a bit. Most anticipated game. The nominees were Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and Starfield. And the one that won that was Elden Ring.
Which is kind of surprising because I honestly thought it was going to be God of War Ragnarok or Legend of Zelda sequel to Breath of the Wild.
That's what I thought too, but I guess more people are more excited for Elden Ring. But then again, the From Software games has always been multi-platform, so I guess in a way that makes sense as to why it could be the most anticipated.
What did you actually vote on that category? Because I voted for God of War.
I didn't get a chance to vote. I actually missed out. I didn't even know when I could cast in my vote. So So when I tried to vote, it was already too late. So I was like, oh well, rip.
Because that was next year.
Yeah, but if I were to have voted, Ragnarok would have been my most anticipated game.
Yeah, same.
Player's voice. I don't know what that means, but the nominees for that was Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, and Resident Evil Village. And the winner was Halo Infinite. I'm assuming player's voice meaning, like, I don't know, I guess the player's choice or whatever, I guess. I don't know. Games.
It's kind of like, yeah, I think the Player's Choice Award basically means by like the demand of the popularity of the game, or like the ones that are basically saying like, if our game doesn't get nominated, then we want to hear like the fans' expertise or kind of hear that feedback of what game they want. And I think last year was Ghost of Tsushima, if I remember correctly, if they won Player's Voice Award. So I guess it's kind of like their call of having a game that was not in a simple category, and the player's choice is basically like the critics and the journalisms of the game that they wanted to have for to win.
Interesting. But anyways, moving on. The best indie debut. The nominees were The Artful Escape, The Forgotten City, Kana, Bridge of Spirits, Sable, and Valheim. Valheim, whatever. Never heard any of these games, but except for one, which is Kana, Bridge of Spirits, and that won best indie debut, which that's something I would have voted for.
I've only heard I've only heard two games off this list. I've heard Kena Bridge of Spirits and The Forgotten City. I actually voted for Kena Bridge of Spirits because, for one, the game looks beautiful. It looks like a Pixar film, and I haven't played the game personally. I know you have, so I can't really say much about it, but that's what I voted for.
Yeah, so far it's a good game. I'm enjoying it. Now for the content creator of the year, which I don't really give a shit about because I don't know half of these YouTubers or maybe they're Twitch streamers, but anyways, I only know one YouTuber on this list. So the nominees were Dream Fusayo Gula. I'm not even gonna try to bother pronouncing these names. Content creator of the year goes to Dream, which is kind of surprising because there's a whole controversy of him cheating Minecraft, or because he became a big thing because he was able to speed run through Minecraft and all that stuff, and then I don't know what's the whole story. I don't know if he's actually a cheater or whatever, but he won Content Creator of the Year, so yay, I guess. I really don't care about that. Best multiplayer, we got the nominees were Back for Blood, Knockout City, It Takes Two, Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim. And surprisingly, the best multiplayer, or actually, I guess not too much of a surprise, that this game won best multiplayer, and that was It Takes Two.
And I kind of didn't see that coming because I actually voted for Monster Hunter Rise because I'm a Monster Hunter fan, and I feel like It Takes Two kind of makes perfect sense because it's one of those games where you do have to play with someone on a couch co-op, or even if you buy the game new physically, you can uh, have them download the download code, and then they can play for free without having to pay full retail of the price. But I'm actually glad that the game was won for best multiplayer, but I would have thought like Monster Hunter Rise or even Back for Blood would have been the more profitable choice of having it to be in the category.
Yeah, well, like I don't know, cause like It Takes Two. I guess it was probably I don't know. I guess it was the most streamed game. I guess because I mean there YouTube couples and all that made it more popular and stuff like that. So it was getting a lot of recognition because of that. I guess I don't know, but anyways, moving on to best sports slash racing game. We got F1 2021, FIFA 2022, somehow for whatever fucking reason. For Forza Horizon 5, Hot Wheels Unleashed, and Riders Republic, and the winner goes to Forza Horizon 5, which I'm not surprised that that game won for best sports slash racing game.
I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. Well, a lot of people that I saw on the Twitter page about Forza Horizon 5 were really upset because that game not only has gotten a massive critical acclaim after the success of Forza Horizon 4, a lot of people thought that Forza Horizon 5 should have been in the higher ranks of the Game of the Year nominee because of how the critics praised the game for its beautiful visuals and replay value, and testing the new game on the hardware specs of the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. But I can understand why that game wasn't really like up in the higher caliber of the Game of the Year nominee. But I feel like it's a well-deserved recognition for Microsoft and the company that made Forza Horizon 5, and then maybe they'll focus on making the game better with additional DLC. And I think Forza also has the most dedicated fan base in any racing game, next to like Gran Turismo or even other games like Drive Club or even Dirt, for instance. So I'm actually glad it won for that nominee.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't really see Forza Horizon being like a Game of the Year contender, but I could see it as like a really good racing game.
It looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not like something I would. I don't know. I'm not like super big into racing games, so I don't know. I'm kind of like, yeah, iffy with it. I mean, then again, I could purchase it on Steam. If I don't like it, I could always get a refund. So there's always that option.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan of the arcade racing style games like Midnight Club, early Need for Speed, and um, like the more retro arcade games from the fifth and sixth gen. Not saying the newer modern games or racing games are bad. I just prefer the racer ones like Midnight Club, Need for Speed, Flat Out, Burnout, etc. That's what I prefer. I like the arcade style racers better.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. We got best sim/strategy game. The nominees were Age of Empires 4. I'm pretty 4. I'm
Yeah,
like
four.
I'm like getting mixed up with my because my Roman numerals are kind of off. So, but yeah, I got it right. 4. Evil Genius 2, World Genius. Wow, they basically had the word genius put in there twice. But anyways, Humankind, Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator, and Age of Empires 4 won best sim/strategy game. Okay. Best family game. We got It Takes Two, Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together, and It Takes Two won best family game. Kind of interesting because
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. You know, I actually voted for Mario Party Superstars, and I've been hearing a lot of buzz within that game, saying it's probably one of the best modern games of the Mario Party franchise. And coming from someone who played the first three on Nintendo 64 and played through 4 and 5 on the GameCube, I would have thought that would have made more practical sense if Mario Party Superstars was the actual victor of that category. Um, New Pokemon Snap, the game looks cool, but you cannot beat the original Pokemon Snap on N64 back when you had to buy the game and then have the ROM pack inserted. And then I remember where you can go to Blockbuster and you can actually buy film reels and you can use the Poke Camera. And if you took pictures with the Poke Camera, you go to the drugstore and then you can get the photos ported from your Poke Camera onto the N64. And I actually wish that would have made more sense to have that kind of thing. But
I mean now
I
we live in an age where you could just screenshot. So I'm pretty sure that's why that wasn't
yeah,
implemented.
yeah, exactly. WarioWare Get It Together. I actually have never played a single game of WarioWare, but I've heard they're really fun and they're also really entertaining. And also Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. I don't know much about that game because I haven't played much of the modern Mario games that were on the Nintendo Switch, but I'm sure it's probably a good game, like Super Mario 3D Maker and all that good stuff. But I voted for Mario Party Superstars, and I was hoping that would win, but unfortunately it didn't. But kudos for Nintendo for having um, your exclusives onto the category, so that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, most of the games on this list for best family was just pure Nintendo games, but I would agree that Super Mario or Mario Party Superstar should have won for best family because It Takes Two. I don't see that as a family game because it's more of a co-op kind of game with you and a friend or you and a significant other, lover, whatever. So I don't really see that as a family game. I mean, granted, I mean it's not like the game is meant for like adults or anything like that, but it's really not
Right.
like a family kind of game where you and the rest of the family could jump in and play, like Mario Party, for instance. But
Yeah.
well, yeah. So I mean, I kind of, I mean, I don't know. That I will say is just kind of weird. I'm not saying that It Takes Two is a bad game, but I feel like Mario Party Superstars should have at least won that because that made the most sense for like at least best family game. Anyways, moving on to best fighting, we got Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yoba, the Unokami Chronicles, Guilty Gear Strive. We got Melty Blood Type Lumina, Nickelodeon
Yep.
All Star Brawl, Virtua 5 or Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, and the winner was Guilty Gear Strive, which I'm not surprised, to be honest.
I actually voted for Guilty Gear Strive, and you know me, I'm a huge fan of the fighting genre itself. But I actually was torn apart about picking Guilty Gear Strive or Nickelodeon All Star Brawl because when I was watching your stream for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, I'm like, oh man, it's just another cheap knockoff of Super Smash Bros. But for Nickelodeon universe and characters. And then I actually thought like, okay, maybe that game could have gotten a little bit more recognition than it should have. And give or not, here comes Guilty Gear, which is a franchise that's been going on for 2.5 decades, and to see um, Arc System Works' latest creation, which I believe they're also the same company that did the Blaze Blue trilogy. So shout
Yeah.
out to any Blaze Blue fans out there, which is a great 2D fighting game franchise. But yeah, I was torn between Nickelodeon All Star or Guilty Gear Strive, and I'm like, okay, what do I vote for? What do I vote for? I voted for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, but then I'm actually really happy that Guilty Gear Strive won. I haven't played the game myself, but for what I've been hearing, I heard the game was awesome.
If I was given a choice to vote between Guilty Gear Strive or Nickelodeon, I would easily vote for Guilty Gear Strive. Easily, hands down.
Ooh, ooh, man, that's cold.
I mean, don't get me wrong with Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. It's decent at best. It's nowhere near in Smash Bros. Ultimate level. It's just compared to like Guilty Gear Strive, for instance. You know, if a character is like too overpowered or whatever, they could easily fix it a little bit via patch. While Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, legit, Michelangelo is forbidden in tournaments. Rather than wanting to fix them or whatever, he's just straight out banned. Like you can't play as Michelangelo if you were to participate in a esports event and they had Nickelodeon All Star Brawl, and there's no voice acting as well. It was just kind of like sound effects. Um, I mean, the concept sounded good. I feel like it was ultimately meant for melee players who are still stuck on that whole melee trend or whatever, or like are still playing melee and rather play melee than ultimate because of the whole
Which I
with the whole stupid wave dashing bullshit, which is a broken ass mechanic that was never meant to be in the game. But that's just my opinion. That's just have fun with your broken mechanic and say it makes the game better.
I still don't understand how people are saying that Super Smash Melee is the better product than Ultimate when Ultimate pretty much is like the same game but with a different character roster and better mechanics, better improvements of the characters. The online community is probably the best that Super Smash has ever done, but to say that Melee is the better one overall over Ultimate, you gotta be joking, bro. Like come on. Ultimate is like the full productivity of what the other game should have been.
And guess what? With Ultimate, characters that are getting buffs here and there with updates. While Nickelodeon All Star, like I mentioned, Michelangelo is just straight out banned from tournaments rather than trying to, debuff him a little so he's not too overpowered. But yeah, I mean, I remember seeing a meme because Garfield was announced as a DLC fighter for the game, and he's free, which is kind of cool. But yeah, like I saw a meme where it shows like the church meme, whatever, where like it shows like a gun, like people pointing guns behind the person's head and all that stuff, and then on top is like a sniper rifle and stuff, or somebody with a sniper. Um, yeah, I saw a meme like that with Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then on the sniper it shows Garfield. I'm like, nah. With the inclusion of Garfield being in Nickelodeon All Star, it's not gonna be make the game any better or want people to play the game compared to Ultimate, or Sora was in Smash and got people wanting to play the game again. But I don't know. I feel like whatever fighters that they announced for Nickelodeon All Star, it's really not going to save the game that much because not a whole lot of people are even playing it on Twitch, like streaming it wise. Like it's very few people streaming it. If anything, I feel like maybe the new Warner Brothers game, the Multiverses game, might be better than Nickelodeon All Star, in my personal opinion, because it actually does have some voice acting in the game, and it actually looks more fun than Nickelodeon All Star, bro. My personal opinion. Sorry, but just saying.
I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm just gonna also say before we go into the next category for best role playing game. If you haven't seen the trailer for that game, it looks really fun. It kind of reminded me a little bit of PlayStation All Stars that was on the PS3, but I think the game has a lot more charm and has a lot more sense of humor. I mean, come on, Shaggy is in the game for fuck's sake. He's going to be a meme cultural icon for the fighting game community.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people playing as Shaggy. I guarantee you that.
Wait, Scoob, I'm a fighting character now.
I could already see the Ultra Instinct Shaggy memes coming in.
Oh, it's going to be mint.
Anyways, so moving on to the next category, best role playing. We got Cyberpunk 2077, Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. And the winner was Tales of Arise.
This category actually was really hard for me to pick. I was torn between Tales of Arise or Scarlet Nexus, which I actually got both games, by the way, for PS4. I haven't gotten around to it, but that's another story. I actually went with my vote and actually went with Tales of Arise, which made me really happy that Namco Deceit, like not one but two Namco Bandai games. One of them is a new IP, and the other one has been a series for like well over 25 years or so. Seeing Tales of Arise winning that nomination is very happy to my ears because the game is basically what a JRPG should be doing in the modern day era, where like the characters are likable, the customization is very deep, and the progression of the game is just so marvelous. And even the soundtrack to Tales of Arise, oh my god, 10 out of 10. Just Namco, if you're watching this podcast, can you send me a free copy so I can review it for you guys? Like that's how good the soundtrack of the game really is. But I also like to point out as well, I don't know how Cyberpunk 2077 is actually in this category because the game is now a year old and the game to me isn't really complete because of how broken the game was, and after the whole controversy happened with CD Projekt Red of basically wanting to create the next immersive title for the company being their first IP, and knowing that the game was like taken away from the PlayStation Store because of the confidentiality and the controversy happened around, and now they just kind of like put it back on the back burner. It's just like it makes no sense to have a game that's a year old into a category when we all know what has happened within the spectrum of things of Cyberpunk 2077. But Scarlet Nexus is it looks like a really cool game. Shin Megami Tensei 5, I was really torn about that too because I'm actually a fan of the Shin Megami Tensei series. And funny enough, for those who don't know, Shin Megami Tensei is actually a continuation of the Persona series, and Shin Megami Tensei came out right before the first Persona game came by, so they're intertwined together within the same time frame. But if you haven't played
No,
Shin
not
Megami
really
Tensei game, well,
exactly, but
kind of.
I wouldn't say they're super connected. It's just if anything, from what I read, it was just more of its own thing. Because I know a lot of people are like, should I play the other Shin Megami Tensei series to understand the fifth one? And a lot of people say you don't because it's his
No,
own different story. Like Persona, for instance, like you don't need to play Persona 1, 2, 3, and 4 to understand 5 because it's his own story and different setting, different characters, and all that stuff. They might make reference here and there to like the other series, but that's just reference. Like maybe you see like a poster of a character or persona or whatever, but that's about it. It's never like brought up like, oh, you know, you encountered this character from Persona 4 and Persona 5 or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5. I have yet to play it. I don't know if I even will play it because I don't know. I haven't even played the third one, which is apparently one of like the best ones, I guess, since it got a remastered for PlayStation, Switch, and PC.
Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great game. Probably the best in the series, in my opinion. But I heard 5 was excellent.
yeah. So I don't know. Unless somebody wants to buy me a free copy of Shin Megami Tensei 5, then I'll play it. That's like honestly, that's like the only way I would even play it is just if somebody buys it for me and is like, "Here, I bought it for you so you can play. So play it." And I'll be like, "Okay, I have no choice."
Or if it's on sale for Steam for like $5.
Or if yeah, there you go. If it's $5 or $1, I'll be like, "All right, fuck it, why not?"
Just make sure it's not cheap platinums.
Yeah, I would even go for the. It depends, because when it comes to trophy lists or like when it comes to trophies, I have to look at it, look at the list on Google, and then I have to decide if it's doable or not. If it looks doable, I'll go for it. But if it's not, I'll just play it just to play it and then leave it as is. I won't even bother to 100% it. Anyways, moving on to the next category, best action adventure. We got Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And the winner was Metroid Dread.
A lot of good heavy hitters on this category. For me personally, I was torn between Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And before I say anything about this category, I would like to send my condolences to Insomniac Games because I feel so bad for the community that neither game has won a nominee for any of these categories. And I do feel like if the game would have came out a little later in 2021, then the game probably would have won more than one award. But rest assured, I that's what I voted for. But I also have heard marvelous things about Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and I did hear Psychonauts 2 was an interesting game, and I played the first game. I thought it was pretty enjoyable, but I've heard the sequel is more implemented better than the original game. And as far as Metroid Dread is concerned, I never played the game personally. I have been playing Metroid games in the past, like Metroid Prime 1 through 3, and also Super Metroid. Those are really, really great games, but I've been hearing that Metroid Dread is kind of like a return to form of what the other Metroid games should have been. Other M on Wii sucks. But yeah, it's awesome to see a Nintendo game actually winning something in this category. But what did you vote for, and how did you feel about this winning?
If I were to have voted, I it's a tough one because it's either between Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy or Ratchet and Clank. I think for action adventure, I think I'd pick Guardians of the Galaxy. But Metroid Dread winning for action adventure, it's not a bad choice. I mean, I need to like get around to playing it and finishing it, but kudos to Nintendo for actually winning something this year. But as I was looking through these lists, I'm kind of bummed out Insomniac Games didn't win anything, which is kind of depressing because Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is a fucking amazing game.
And that's what I've been hearing, and I'm a huge fan of the series. I've been a fan of it since the first game came out.
And this is coming from somebody, from me, who's never played a single Ratchet and Clank. I mean, I played a little bit of the reboot that came out in 2016, but I never finished it. But for me to fully play through a Ratchet and Clank game, this was the first one I ever played and finished and even platinumed. And it was amazing. And yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking to see that Insomniac Games didn't win a single, at least one of the, a single award for either adventure or something. Like, I don't know. Because Insomniac Games, I feel like when it comes to their games, they'd fucking deliver. I mean, look at Spider-Man. Fan-fucking-tastic game. It's like the best Spider-Man game I ever played. And yeah, It's just whatever games they come up with, I'm 100% behind them, fully supportive. Unlike Naughty Dog, it's a different story. But let's just say whatever new Naughty Dog game gets announced, which is more likely Last of Us Part 3, I'm not gonna get excited for that. Instead, I'll be more excited for Spider-Man 2 or Wolverine, or if the Insomniac game decides to work on a new Marvel game, I'd be 100% on board with that. Because I know they'll fucking deliver and make a a good ass superhero game.
And also, little fun fact for all you guys: Insomniac was also responsible for making the original Spiral trilogy 1 through 3 on the PS1.
Fun fact in gaming history. I kind of forgot about that, but that's true. They were involved with, or they did make Spyro, the trilogy, on
Yeah, you can
PlayStation.
get yeah, you can get the Reunited trilogy on PS4, which I have digitally, and I'll be able to play that soon. And I'm super excited because I'm a fan of the first 3 games. After that, they kind of went to shit.
Yep. Thanks, Activision.
Bastards.
Anyways, so that was best action adventure. Now we're moving on to best action game. And the nominees were Back for Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. And the winner was Returnal for best action game.
And that's what I actually voted for. I actually voted for Returnal, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. I am so happy for House Marquee because this is their first well, I think this is their first like official IP on the PS5, and I know a lot of people in the gaming community saying that Returnal is basically one of the best roguelike games that's ever came out. And I know a lot of people were saying that the game has gotten pretty repetitive because of its difficulty, and they were praising it because of the gameplay. They liked the immersion of the game, they liked the aesthetics and the soundscapes. I think it's a really well deserved reward for Returnal to win. I don't have a PS5, so I can't really say about the game, but from the gameplay footage I've seen, it seems like it's my type of game, and I'm really glad that the roguelike genre of the video games is not only making a return to the gaming industry, but more people are actually experiencing it for the newer generation consoles. And I also can't really say much about Chivalry 2. I don't know much about the series. Back for Blood looks cool. I mean, I love Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, great fucking games. Deathloop, on the other hand, it looks interesting. I don't have a PS5, but I know the game has been getting rave reviews all over the spectrum. And Far Cry 6, on the other hand, I just don't see any any capacity whatsoever of Far Cry 6 gaining a lot of notoriety, and I've actually been hearing from a lot of people saying it's the weaker game in the franchise, and coming from someone who's been playing 1 through 2 and absolutely loved Far Cry 3 and Blood Dragon, I just thought Far Cry 6 was pretty much just basically the same copy and paste material from Far Cry 5, but with a different character and also like different mechanics from the game. But I'm glad Returnal won. I don't know what your stance is or what you vote for, and how you feel about the other games in this nomination.
I think I would have voted for Returnal. I mean, I do have both Returnal and Deathloop on PS5 physical. They're already installed on my PS5, but I just have yet to play them, which I'll get around to whenever I can. I don't know when exactly because I just have way too many games.
As you should.
Because like once I get done with Kana, I want to go back and finish Scarlet Nexus. And then after that, it's open doors for me. I could either hop onto Tales of Arise or start playing through Tormented Souls or anything basically. But yeah, Returnal looks good to me, honestly, from when I seen gameplay of it and stuff. It's even gotten an update not too long ago where it's basically a save spot, I guess you could say. So like, because I know a lot of people complained about like how you save the game or whatever. I don't know, like basically like being able to jump back into the game wherever you left off. They added the update where you can do that. So like, let's say you have like maybe 10 minutes of free time or 30 minutes of free time to play video games before you go to work or whatever. And then when the time is up, you have to get ready or like leave to work and all that stuff. You can't save your game, but with the update, you're able to like leave wherever you left off, and then when you come back or whatever, you just jump back right into the game and continue where you left off. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think I would have voted for Returnal for best action game. Far Cry 6, exactly what you said. It's just not that interesting, honestly. It's I feel like I always tortured myself playing through these Far Cry games just for these just to get a goddamn platinum trophy for these the newer Far Cry games. That's the only reason why I spent that much money on these Far Cry games, is so I could get a platinum trophy. But yeah, Far Cry 6 is just copy paste, nothing new, nothing too interesting, nothing like, oh my god, this is the best fucking game ever made. It's whatever. That's all I can say about Far Cry 6. It's just yeah. But anyways, moving on to the next category, we got best VR/AR, which we got Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, Lone Echo 2, Resident Evil 4, and Sniper Elite VR. And Resident Evil 4 won Best VR, which is honestly not that surprising that it won Best VR. The Resident Evil 4 VR won Best VR because it actually looks fun compared to the other games.
Yeah, this is one of the many times where I actually wish I had a VR because of this nomination and seeing another port of Capcom's cash grabbing installment known as Resident Evil 4. It's really awesome to see some people actually enjoying this game, and basically it's just the same game, but you're playing a virtual reality set where you feel like you have to use your body in the way of aligning, how to reload a gun or learn how to sprint or hit like a certain button in the QTE events, or learn how to save a game and pointing guns and like how to heal items. I've seen footage of it online, and to be quite honest, I really wish I had a VR right now because I would love to play this in a VR setting, and I haven't been able to play a VR game in such a very, very long time. Probably since I was in my teenager years when there was an arcade place made Masterpiece because it's no longer available. Um, I feel like this is probably one of the many reasons why I want to get a VR is because of Resident Evil 4. And of course, you know me, Blu-ray, being a huge Resident Evil fanboy than I am, I will buy anything Resident Evil related, including the imports, spin-offs, everything. So well deserved, Capcom. This is an awesome thing to do. Also, one thing I don't like about it is you have to connect your Facebook for your face. You have to have a Facebook account to connect online in order to have some kind of feature in the game, which I don't know what it's about, but I'll have to look into it. But well deserved, Capcom. Good job of making a another good port on the VR this time instead of a console or a mobile device.
Anyway, so that's that. Next up, we got innovation and accessibility. We got Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, The Valet Shadow of the Crown, and Forza Horizon 1 for innovation and accessibility. Next,
I voted for Ratchet on that, but sadly I lost.
yeah, but I wouldn't know much about accessibility because I'm not really disabled or anything like that, or have any kind of disability. But so I can't really say much about that. But anyways, best community support. We got Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14 Online, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and the winner was Final Fantasy 14 Online.
I only give two shits about two of these games, which is basically No Man's Sky and Final Fantasy 14 Online. And I know people are probably going to flack for me for this, but I don't really care. I think No Man's Sky is a much better game than what it turned out to be, because I know that the developer of the game was basically getting death threats all over on social media because the way that the game was handled was poorly executed. But now, fast forward to 2021, they've incorporated a lot of different content and structures within the game. And actually, the game looks pretty fun right now, because if you go back then when the game first came out, people were just panhelling the game for its negative response, and gamers were just outraged because the game was practically broken. Looking at you, Fallout 76, that's a horrible example of how to make a game so practically broken. But that's what I voted for. I voted for No Man's Sky, but it's nice to see Final Fantasy 14 Online still going strong. And it was funny enough that the game was originally released for PC, and then it basically got ported to the current gen and new generation consoles. And I think as of this live stream we're in, um, Final Fantasy 14 has reached over 80 million players online, and I think it's probably the most dedicated server for a MMO game, I think, ever, probably since the original World of Warcraft on PC. So, well deserved for Square Enix on that. I give them props for it.
Yep. Anyways, so we got moving on to next best mobile game. We got Fantasian, or is it Fantasian? I don't know.
Fantasian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
never heard of them. But moving on, Genshin Impact, League of Legends, Wild Rift, Marvel Future Revolution, Pokemon Unite, and Genshin Impact 1. Not surprised, because I keep seeing fucking ads about that game, and I'm like, I mean, not to shit on the game, but I kind of lost interest in it. So
it was fun. It was fun at first, but after the whole updates and patches within the game, I'm like, yeah, I would rather play Breath of the Wild than Genshin.
anyways, moving on, we got Best Indie. We got 12 Minutes, Death Store, Inscription, Kana, Bridge of Spirits, Loop Hero, and the winner was Kana, Bridge of Spirits.
Very well deserved.
Yeah, which it's a game I would have voted for Best Indie Game. Best ongoing game, we got Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Warzone, and the winner was Final Fantasy 14 Online.
Well deserved.
Moving on to games for Impact, we got Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chikori, A Colorful Tale, Life is Strange True Colors, No Longer Home, and the winner went to Life is Strange True Colors. Anyways, moving on.
I can't really say much about Life is Strange. I played the first game just for the platinum. It was easy, but after that, I'm like, I don't care about the other games.
Yeah, Life is Strange is one of those games I just played just to platinum. I mean, it might be, I don't know, I guess controversial for me to say, but I like the second one over the first one. I'm sorry, but the first one is just, the writing is bad, the voice acting just comes out cheesy, the characters are just so fucking unlikable. I've seen so many YouTubers who are like, oh my god, poor Chloe, boo-hoo, I feel bad for her. I'm like, she's a spoiled ass fucking teenager. Like, she's literally there's even a YouTube video describing that the character Chloe is just a horrible character and like literally the worst friend ever. Because there's a scene in the game where she's all like, who are you texting and all that stuff, because there's this person in the game where she's down on depression because somebody leaked a video of her, or she's super wasted, and it's embarrassing for her because she doesn't want her family to see it because her family's super religious and all that stuff. So she was really depressed. You have the option to either ignore the text or like respond to the text, but your best friend is all like, "No, fuck that bitch. Focus on me. It's all about me." I'm like, "Fuck off, bitch." You know, what kind of friend are you? You know, but yeah, honestly, I hated the first game, and the second one, my personal opinion, though a lot of people said the second one is like the weaker one, but I prefer the second one over the first one because like the characters are at least more likable, and the stuff that the characters had to go through actually made more sense. It's actually, well, yeah, it made more sense in a way, or something like I actually gave a shit about. Unlike the first game where I don't really give a shit about their problems, you know. But Life is Strange True Colors, I played. I mean, I platinumed the both PS4 and PS5 version, and it's not too bad. I kind of liked it, but I think the second one is a little bit better. But at least the characters in True Colors are more likable than the first game. I'm sorry for those who like the first Last of Us game, but you gotta admit the characters in that game were just super unlikable. And Chloe Price, the character that everybody's so in love with, you gotta admit she's a shitty character and like legit the worst friend ever. Like you wouldn't want to be friends with that bitch. I'm sorry, but let's be realistic. She's a worse person ever. But rant over. We're gonna move on to best performance. We got Erica Mori as Alex Chen in Life is Strange True Colors. The actor who played as Gustavo from Breaking Bad and who played as Anton Castillo in Far Cry 6. He's on that list. I'm sorry, I can't really pronounce his first and last name. It's supposed.
I think it's Aten Castillo.
No, I'm saying like the actor, not the character name.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I could say the last name Esposito, but I can't really say the first name is Giancarlo. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be Hispanic, but I can't really say a lot of Hispanic names. But anyways, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, that guy, Breaking Bad guy, who's the villain in Far Cry 6. Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn in Deathloop. Maggie Robertson, as we all know, as the lovely Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil Village. And Ozama Kak. I don't want to say it because I legit was about to say Kaka. But she played as Juliana Blake in Deathloop. But I think we already know who won Best Performance, which is Maggie Robertson. Well deserved.
And let me say this: I am so happy for Maggie Robertson as winning this role on Lady Dimitrescu, and I think fans are probably going to be behind her back, and then there's other going to be non-casual fans who's never played the game. They'll probably be like, "Oh, Maggie Robertson only won because of her meme popularity and all the speculations going about her character being 9 foot tall and have fans sit on her faces." I'm like, she's just a voice actress playing as a character. Like how it sounds sexist to them, but honestly, you can't blame Maggie because her performance in that game is sensational. I think she was pretty much like the highlight of Resident Evil Village, which we'll get onto later. But I am just so happy for Maggie Robertson playing as probably one of the most memorable Resident Evil characters in the modern franchise. And I think I'm actually really excited to know when she's going to be able to voice next because I actually follow her on her Instagram and so many people are just loving her. Like she seems this down to earth, very genuine, appreciative person that I like to do a video interview with her talking about her role as Lady Dimitrescu, but that's another story. But well deserved, Maggie. This was probably one of the best moments for me in the entire show was her winning.
Yeah, same. Honestly, I mean, if I were to have voted, I would have easily voted for her. Memes aside, I honestly think she nailed it as Lady Dimitrescu. Like, it's just like like honestly, like you said, like Lady Dimitrescu is like one of the most like well loved character in the game. Like it became everybody's favorite character in the Resident Evil series. Like honestly, like besides fuck, what was his name in Village? I'm already blanking out on his name.
The Duke?
No, not Duke. what's
Heisenberg?
there you go, Heisenberg. Besides Heisenberg, Lady Dimitrescu was like my favorite in Village, and was mainly the main highlight for me. The other lords besides Heisenberg and Lady Dimitrescu, they're kind of like whatever. Well, I mean, the second lord was pretty good with the whole like at that whole scene where it kind of gave up the Silent Hill vibe, where it's like super creepy. But other than that, like the third lord, I just was kind of weak in my personal opinion. But yeah, like I there's so much I could say about Maggie's performance as Lady Dimitrescu that would end up tracking on this podcast for like long for like hours and hours. But yeah, it's just with her performance as Lady Dimitrescu, it's just like it was amazing. And yeah, like I mean, there's a lot of things I could say about it. I just can't really say because I'm kind of blanking out. But yeah, Maggie Robertson, she deserved that award for best performance.
Yeah, and speaking of the performance, I saw your photo that you tagged me on Instagram with the autograph of Lady Dimitrescu's signature autograph, and I thought to myself, I seriously hope to God she could sit on your face for infinite periods of time.
Yeah, I'm actually curious as to what stuff she had to sign because I mean, you could have requests to have the voice actors to like write a specific line or a quote as they sign your print. And I'm pretty sure a good majority of those people are probably saying like, "Oh, you know, mommy milkers" or whatever, all that type of shit. But, anyways, moving on to best audio design, we got Deathloop, Forza Horizon 5, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal and Horizon or Forza Horizon 5 won best audio design, which is kind of weird because I've heard that Returnal, if you were to play it with the if you were to have your headset on, like the Pulse headphones, whatever the fuck that shit's called, that the sound audio just sounds amazing when you play with headphones on. So I'm kind of surprised that Returnal didn't win that.
Yeah, all the other games have fantastic audio, especially Returnal and Resident Evil Village, because if you play it in like with really good headphones and if you have like surround performance, it actually sounds very killer. And I think with Returnal, it's like atmospheric and the ambience of the game. It just feels like it's like slime crawling and very atmospheric at times, where you kind of feel like you're watching an alien movie or Prometheus or like any sci-fi film. And like with Resident Evil Village, it's more like of a supernatural instinct where it has like this gothic like very 17th 18th century style sound where if you hear like every corridor, every footstep, or like hear doors open and like hearing gunshots whenever, I just feel like the sound of all these games are just fantastic. But I actually picked Returnal and RE Village to win, but I don't know how Forza 5 would have won because basically you're just hearing cars. That's it. You don't hear anything else.
I mean, pretty sure it's more deaf, like the sound or whatever, like the floor or whatever. I don't know. But I'm not really that much of a tech nerd, but yeah, I just feel like Returnal would have or should have won that, I guess. But yeah, it's just my opinion. Anyways, best score in music, we got the Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Near Replicant version 1.1.22474487139, and Near Replicant won that for best score and music, which is kind of surprising because I think Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy had the best one, in my personal opinion.
This one was pretty hard for me because I'm a huge video game music fanatic, and of course I live in a family where music is part of a huge background to me. I was actually torn apart between picking Marvel's Guardians or Near Replicant, and I probably would have went with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy as well because I'm a huge 80s music fan, and the soundtrack to that game is fucking perfect. Not a single bad song on that album. It's just amazing. Like if you're an 80s music fan and if you love Marvel, the soundtrack and score of that game is just flawless. And same with Near Replicant. The soundtrack to that game is amazing. Square Enix made it. It's emotional. It's thought provoking. It's very melancholic, and it's sounds where you just have to listen to it more than once just to appreciate the beauty and the um, admiration of the composer, because every song feels emotional for the other games too. But I'm glad Near Replicant won, even though I did pick Marvels of the Guardians Galaxy to win because of the 80s aesthetic. But that's just my personal preference. Cyberpunk 2077 has also good music. Deathloop, not familiar. Art Folkscape, not familiar. But I'm glad Near Replicant won. But like I said, I would have picked Marvels to win it.
Anyways, moving on, we got best art direction. We got The Artful Escape, Deathloop 2, Kana, Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and the winner went to Deathloop for best art direction. Best narrative, we got Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange, True Colors, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Psychonauts 2, and the winner went to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is well deserved because it's honestly one of the best games I ever played this year, or Marvel game this year.
And I'm so glad that Square Enix and Eidos Montreal have actually kind of redeemed themselves after the abomination of last year's game, which we're never ever going to talk about. But if you know what I'm talking about, then you know exactly what it meant to be. So I think when it comes to narrative in video games, sometimes it's very hard to kind of get your head wrapped around um, the alignments of the story. And what I mean by that is like whenever you play a game and you want to listen to a story, it's kind of like listening to an audiobook. Like you want to be able to decipher and interpret based on what the writer is trying to tell the gamer. And as the gamer, you want to have your own imagination and detail into being in a world where it's just so submerged. And for a game like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy winning Best Narrative is actually very surprising to me because people thought that this game was going to be a total fluke. And now people are saying, like, it's such a really good game because they never even knew that for a game like this that's based off the MCU universe and then having it into their own creation is pretty spectacular. So you got to give credit where credit is all due. And I think Idios Montreal deserves this award, not because of them trying to make a game that has probably the best story out of this category, but to have a game that's just so full of charm and sense of humor and just having a good time, and instead of like having the best game out there in the world where people die and you feel sorry for these characters. But this is one of those games where you kind of have to just sit back, relax, and just enjoy the quality over quantity. And I feel like this game is definitely in probably one of the most underrated games, I think, the whole year of 2021, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Like, honestly, the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy winning Best Narrative is well. I feel like they deserved it because it was literally one of the best Marvel games that they made this year, unlike Avengers, which apparently not even the fucking Spider-Man DLC was even could even save that game because a lot of people said the swinging mechanics for that game just felt weird and not very satisfying compared to Insomniac's Spider-Man. So yeah, I think it's time that Square Enix should just give up on the fucking Avengers. And I don't know, take notes from what they did with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and if they decide to make a sequel to that game or another Marvel game, they should definitely take notes from this game and implement it to the next one because like comparing to Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy, you could tell which game that people love the most, which is obviously Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers is like literally the weakest game that they ever made, and not a whole lot of people are playing it. Not even the DLCs could even help save the game. So yeah. So hopefully from then on, like I said, they decide to make a sequel or make another Marvel game that they, take notes from this game and implement it to the next. But anyways, moving on to best game direction, we got Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and the winner went to Deathloop for best game direction.
And I don't agree to that pick. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't agree with Deathloop winning best game direction. If anything, it should have been Returnal or Ratchet and Clank. But I picked either of those two. But Deathloop, I don't. This is the one time where I disagree with this choice. Deathloop. I don't see anything innovative. I mean, yeah, it's made by the same company that did Dishonored, and it looks cool. I'll play it eventually, but I don't see anything like spectacular when it comes to the vision and the design and the narrative aspect of Deathloop having this like engaging immersive world where you're just shooting people and like time portals and lapses and all this futuristic stuff that we've been seeing in first person shooters lately. But I sadly don't agree with this game winning. If anything, it should have been Returnal or Rift Apart.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I mean, I haven't played Deathloop yet, so I can't really form an opinion on that. But I would probably be biased and say Ratchet and Clank because I wanted Insomnia Games to win at least something. So yeah. But
Now,
the finale, the final list, game of the year.
oh
We,
boy.
we got It Takes Two, Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. And the game of the year went to It Takes Two.
Now we should probably express our opinions and go further into this because this is probably going to be the most discussed topic out of the entire nomination. So I'll let you go first on how you feel about It Takes Two winning Game of the Year compared to these other titles and why you think you either agree or disagree.
First off, I was surprised that It Takes Two won Game of the Year. I expected Deathloop to win. If I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it just seemed like the type of game that would have won Game of the Year. But yeah, it's just not to say It Takes Two is a bad game that it doesn't deserve it, but it's just more of a surprise for me because I don't really see a lot of people talking about it as much. I mean, I feel like the only way it got a lot of popularity is because, YouTubers and Twitch streamers are playing it, and specifically like couples and stuff, or were able to play the game. And even if they're not like, YouTubers or Twitch streamers or anything like that, there's like a game that couples could actually play, together basically, or you could just play with a friend as well. Um, but yeah, like I never thought It Takes Two have like. I mean, I can't really say much about the game because I have yet to play it. But it doesn't come out as the type of game that's like game of the year material, in my personal opinion. But the Hazelight, the one who made a Way Out, fan fucking tastic game. So it's no surprise that It Takes Two was getting some recognition, some love, and all that stuff because the last game they made was fucking amazing. So it made sense that this one would be really good as well. Um, but yeah, if anything, I mean, if I were to have voted, I more likely would have voted for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart as my game of the year. Because I just had a lot of fun with that game, and it was like the only game that or like after I platinum the game, I kind of felt empty because I'm like, damn, I don't know what else to do with my life. I don't even feel like playing video games anymore. Like the other games that are going to be coming out this year are more likely going to suck ass and this and that. It's never going to satisfy my need or like my enjoyment compared to Ratchet and Clank. Um, but yeah, in terms of like my original guess, in terms of like which game I thought would have won Game of the Year, it was the first one my first choice would have been Deathloop. My second choice would have been Resident Evil Village, and the third one would have been Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And then and then hearing that It Takes Two one, I was just like, wow, what isn't that? I was not expecting that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say about it. I don't know about you, Sedition.
I'm the type of gamer that appreciates quality over quantity in video games and likes a good game that has a impacted story. And when I first saw It Takes Two winning Game of the Year nomination, not only my expectations were pretty uneven, but it was beyond unexpected because this is a game where um, Hazelight Studios, which you mentioned before, their first game was back in 2018 called A Way Out, which I never played personally, but after seeing the recognition of games in a couch co-op setting, which is very rare these days because not a lot of games in that genre, you don't see them as much anymore. And to see a game like It Takes Two being Game of the Year nominee for this nomination, it's a fair play for the company, specifically the creator of this game, because the guy, from what I've read, the guy is like very wholesome. He loves his kids. His team only has like over 60 staff members because they are a relatively smaller studio. And for me personally, when I saw this game winning Game of the Year, I was pretty happy for the company, but I didn't entirely think that this game was going to be that good because, like you mentioned before, It Takes Two is a game where it feels like you have to be, having like a buddy of yours, or if you're in a relationship, or if you're a married couple, like husband and wife kind of thing. Like this is the kind of game where you have to work on teamwork and understanding its philosophy because this game practically is like you have to appreciate the evolution of a game that's entirely made for like couples or relationships, or even if you're a best friend, because I don't know the whole story about this game, but what I do know is a game like It Takes Two, I don't think it should have been Game of the Year, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Not saying it's a bad game, and I know a lot of people haven't really heard much about it until this game won Game of the Year. Because I haven't seen many people talking about it over on Twitch or YouTube or Reddit or any other form of gaming journalist sites, because I know it's been getting really good scores across the spectrum of all things for gaming journalism. But needless to say, if I would have picked a game in this category that would have been my game of the year, as much as I would like to see other games get the recognition it deserves, and while I do think It Takes Two is that game in particular, I probably would have picked between Resident Evil Village or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Not because I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil, not because I'm a huge fan of Ratchet and Clank, but I feel like those two games in particular, in comparison to It Takes Two, it was a whole different spectrum of games. Like you have a survival horror game, you have a platformer, you have a side scroller platforming game, you have a first person shooter, you have an action adventure, and then you have a game that's basically couch co-op, whether you can play a game online with your friend or have someone relatively close to you. It seems to me that It Takes Two is definitely one of those games where even if you aren't entirely a gamer, you can definitely understand like It Takes Two is basically watching a romantic novelty or a movie, so to speak, or if you're reading a novelty book based on romance. Because the game has its presentation of love and affection and betrayal and guilt, sadness. It's got a lot of different themes from those subject matter, but personally I feel like It Takes Two what should have been the Game of the Year nominee, and I think a lot of people are probably going to be really mad at me for saying that because I haven't played the game personally. Will I play it eventually whenever I get the time around? But I feel like Resident Evil Village and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart should have been the Game of the Year nomination. And I'm not saying anything bad about like Metroid Dread or Psychonauts 2, or Deathloop, which I know they're all fantastic games in their own respective way. I just felt like Rift Apart or Resident Evil Village should have walked away with the Game of the Year nomination. So that would have been my preferred choice. So seeing It Takes Two winning Game of the Year is it's great for the fans that love this game, and I'm pretty sure it might have helped the streaming community because of how well recognizable the game truly was when it first came out. And seeing it now as the year goes by, there's still people playing it this very day, but it's kind of funny because no one even knew what this game was mentionally about until like half a year ago when people started to get more associated with It Takes Two being like, "Oh, have you heard about this game before? It's a game where you have to test your might and like do that kind of shit whatsoever." But that's besides the point. Um, I feel like It Takes Two shouldn't been Game of the Year as much as people will crucify me for saying it, but because this is my opinion, and my opinion only, Resident Evil Village or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart should have been Game of the Year. But I will give credit where credit's all due for Hazel Light Studios and for their small team into creating a game that's very new, very innovative, and a lot of people are saying that this game is basically masterpiece material. But I wouldn't say it is a masterpiece. If you're talking masterpieces, you're talking like The Last of Us 2013 masterpiece or like Uncharted 2 level. But that's basically all I have to say. It Takes Two, it's a deserving game for winning this nomination, but I don't agree of it being Game of the Year nominee, and I thought there should have been other games that could have been on the spotlight. And also one more thing, a lot of people were also saying that Returnal should have been Game of the Year because the game has been getting pretty good review scores, and people were saying like Returnal should have been in that nomination because of the implementations of the game, saying that it was very innovative and very different compared to other games along the spectrum. So that's basically all I gotta say about the Game of the Year. It's cool that it won, but it wouldn't be my choice for Game of the Year.
Yeah. Well, we could at least agree that at least with this year, it's a lot better than last year's Game Awards, in my personal opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Not saying that there were horrible games. I I will say that 2021 has been a very interesting year for games. Like, there's a lot of good games that came out this year, but it wasn't like 2019, 2018, because I feel like 2018 and 2019 was the best years for gaming, like without a doubt, before the new gen started to come by.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something, but I'm kind of blanking out. But anyways, I will say, yeah. This year's, I feel like, well, in terms of video games, it has been pretty interesting. At least for me, there's actually games that are pretty good that came out this year. Um, and still working on my top 5 list, or like, I mean, well, I already have a list or an idea of what games are on my list. I just gotta film it and edit, and I'll be done with that. But
I hope your list will live up to its expectations, unlike last year, because I was pretty upset about the VGAs last year.
I mean, at least Last of Us Part 2 wasn't on my Game of the Year list or my top 5 list because it's nowhere near on that list.
No, it wasn't even on mine. I mean, my game of the year for 2020 was a tie between Ghost of Tsushima and Doom Eternal.
For me, it was just straight up Ghost of Tsushima, easily. I fucking love that game.
I cannot wait for the sequel. Sucker Punch, if you're watching this, take all your damn time because you will make a proper sequel, unlike most companies do.
Yep, big facts. A lot of these game companies or studios are releasing half-ass games and fixing it later, which is kind of annoying, honestly. And I just hate how people are actually defending that and supporting that. I'm like, that's some bullshit. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. They should not get support or like praise for eventually making the game playable and more enjoyable like a year or two later. Like, no. It should have been like that the day the game was launched. But
Anyone yeah, I mean, give or take, anyone who basically defends half-ass games don't even know what it's about. It's basically just be like, hey, you want to buy the same game yearly, like all the EA games or something like that, then go ahead, more power to you. But I like games that take effort and detail and inspiration rather than just releasing the same sports game every year and people will be like, oh, this is the greatest game ever of all time. Like, I'll buy Fortnite or PUBG or any other battle royale games and call it Game of the Year nominee when there's other better games that are just more exquisite.
yeah. But anyways, I think that's pretty much all we had to say about the Game Awards. Kind of interesting that we spent almost close to 2 hours talking about this.
It was well worth it. It was probably the same time as last year. I think last year was probably like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but hey, at least we got a good ass topic for one particular subject for this podcast. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So before I end the podcast, moving on to the shout out category where I let my special guests, shout themselves out with either Twitch, whatever links that they have. So go for it, Sedition.
All right, shout out shameless plug promotion. My favorite time of the year. um, if you enjoy this podcast and you would like to see more of me, you are more than welcome to follow me on Instagram at Sedition. I am also on Twitch, the same name, at Sedition. If you like my content, make sure to give it a follow. I post stuff about music, memes, video games, discussions here and there, and hopefully you like my content. If not, well, you're a cop. You're a bad cop. So make sure to follow me on those social media platforms. And also, if you enjoy this podcast, make sure to follow Blu-ray Games on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. He's a really cool guy. One of my favorite people. One of my best friends. I consider on social media. I'm also looking at you, Yo Snafu. You bitch ass. If you're watching this, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely follow. Give me a follow. Follow Blu-ray Games to support the stream. And thank you for having me for doing this for 2021. And hopefully 2022 will be the same perspective, if not better year for the VGAs, because I'm going to be perfectly honest, I was a little disappointed in the VGAs, but with few exceptions of Maggie winning for best performance. That was like the best highlight. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, all right. So that does it for this podcast. This is the third podcast so far that I've done. And we'll see how far we'll go with this podcast and guests and stuff. So should be an interesting one. I've been having fun doing these podcasts, and I'm so glad that I've kind of like started this podcast as a own individual kind of thing rather than trying to make a group podcast, because to me that was more of a hassle thing to do, and I was just like, you know what, I might as well do my own and just have people come in if they want to, and so far it's been working out.
Yeah, podcasts have been becoming a huge thing, especially around COVID, and it's still relevant now in 2021, and it's probably going to be like this for quite a long time. So podcasts are generally the way to go these days, especially for content creators like us who basically like to talk about our passion, which is basically video games. Well, for me, it's wrestling, music, and video games, but mostly it's just music and video games. Like with you, it's video games and anime. So it's really cool to see podcasts and people kind of pushing the boundary and sharing their love for their hobbies.
Yep. Anyway, so that'll be the end of this podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you're watching this on YouTube, you make sure you give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it. And yeah, so until then, I'll see you guys next time.